Well, good evening, everyone. It is Monday, December 7th. Welcome to the Whitestown Redevelopment Commission meeting. First item on the agenda is a roll call to order.
Brian Breitmeyer.
Here.
Kyle Weathers.
Present.
Adam Hess.
Here.
April Wyckoff.
Here.
Rob Worrell.
Here.
Elizabeth Keith.
Here.
And Michael Berg.
Here.
Thank you so much. Next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. And I believe, Glenn, did you have a video that you wanted to share again?
I do, yes, sir.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice
for all.
Thank you so much. Let's see. Moving on, next item on the agenda is under presentations. And I believe we have a presentation from Millhouse.
1 second, and I will unmute Brad. You there, Brad?
I am there. Thank you very much. I will share my screen as well.
And is anyone else presenting with you or just you?
It should just be me.
Okay.
Good deal. Thanks again, members of the commission, the opportunity to present this evening. Again, Brad Vogelsmeyer, Vice President of Development with Millhouse, here presenting on proposed multifamily project adjacent to the new Little League facility, just west of I-65 on Indianapolis Road. You heard from me last month. This presentation is largely a similar format and detail, as the project has not significantly changed since then. Added a little bit more additional detail based on some additional conversations we've had in the past month based on feedback from the last meeting, which I'll walk through as well. But a quick refresher, at least to start on the project. So it's proposed 240 multifamily apartments, again, just north of the Little League facility, as you can see it on your screen, both in an existing TIF district and with zoning in place that would allow for a project of this scale and type. So again, proposing 240 Class A apartment properties, market rate, a combination of 10 buildings across the site, all 3 stories with the exception of a standalone clubhouse, which would have leasing on site in addition to a full set of amenities you can see on the screen. Overall scale of the project is fairly significant as well, about a $41.5 million project. And we can get into what the implications are later too from an assessed value perspective versus what is there today, which is largely just an unimproved piece of land. In addition to this, backing up to, you can see there's a 1 acre retail carve out we anticipate being developed during the course of this project with additional retail to service both the existing community, this project, and the Little League facility as well. So again, you can see the total overall investment as shown below, which is wholly consistent with what we discussed last month. Again, just a quick dive on some of the character of this project, really striving to kind of fall lock in step with the existing design aesthetic of the rest of the community. Both Whitestown, or both the Little League facility, some of the new projects, fire station, and some of the new single family projects as well. Very clean lines, modern, kind of contemporary aesthetic. The pictures up top are representative of some previous Millhouse projects. So again, didn't mention on the front end, but not mention it last month. We are exclusively a multifamily mixed use developer, done about 9,500 apartments across the country, and hold ourselves to pretty high quality as far as finish level goes, both with our amenities and in-unit finishes for our residents. And so you'd see a fully consistent kind of product on the back end here with this project. So taking this a step further than the actual proposal itself up for consideration tonight. First again, starting with the why, a few different reasons. One, both just some market conditions, and then probably the bigger on the site development piece. One is, there's a lot of potential for this part of town, and we're excited about the energy and some of the various projects that have been proposed in and around here. Some of our challenges as it sits today is we're just at a little bit of a market disadvantage from the more developed commercial corridor on the other side of I-65. And so again, while this site today is maybe not the same as that established commercial district, we think there's definitely the potential for that in the future, but helps offset a gap, again, that exists today in the market. And then a larger purpose on the why is some of the site development costs we're facing here, having to raise the entire site up about 4 feet just to make it developable, which is a high 6-figure, low 7-figure number. So again, something that you would not abnormal cost constraint that we're seeing on this project. More importantly, though, are what we see the benefits of not just the proposal, but also the project as a whole, both furthering the vision of this district, and then also mentioning the $0 in assessed value today. The incremental increase from this project when stabilized adds another $29.5 million, conservatively, we believe, in assessed value in the existing Mauer Commons TIF district. And then again, a unique component of this proposal, we're actually talking about taking a portion of the TIF proceeds and paying them back to the town on day one. Our hope is that this will be reinvested or would be reinvested in the district for more infrastructure improvements, which will ultimately benefit the larger community and help drive additional value and spur additional development in the area, which we think is a pretty important piece of what we're proposing, or what would not exist without this TIF proposal. So mechanics and timeline, again, a few different things to look at here. A lot of the meat of what we're talking about. Got a gross TIF calculation of about $4.1 million, which is about 10% of total project costs. Once deducting out cost of issuance and capitalizing the interest and then the upfront payment to the town, we're talking about a net TIF proceed number about $2.3 million. And so over the course of this 20-year bond that we're proposing, Whitestown not only gets the $1.1 million upfront day one, but then also an additional estimated $7.5 million in residual tax over that 20-year period. And with a really healthy debt coverage ratio too of close to 2x, we believe that there's even maybe the potential for this to be paid off sooner than that 20-year period. And so from an overall stepping back from where we are today to project stabilization or bond payoff, we're hypothetically talking about breaking ground here in the spring, assuming this proposal goes forward, which we find as a necessity to make the economic viability of this project allow to happen. We'd see a first unit delivery roughly a year later, and then having the project fully assessed by fourth quarter of 2023 with a full bond payback by the end of 2041. Moving then into another topic of conversation, I know it came up last time, is the impact on school districts, and it's one we've spent some time digging into and talking to a few folks, and obviously it's an important piece as we look holistically about the positive and negative impacts. So a lot of information on the screen, but we felt like it was worth going through with this group. And what we did, we studied this in a few different ways. Obviously, with this being in an existing TIF district and already zoned for the use, both of these this project was hypothetically already contemplated before we came to the table. And so one of the ways we looked at this, rightly or wrongly, is comparatively to a single family community that might either be built, again, the same scale, same size of site within the district, what the impacts are comparatively between our projects and a single family community. And some of what we learned, obviously, with some of the projections from an expense standpoint, and then also weighing against where you would have allocated referendum tax and also state revenue allocations, be very, very difficult for any type of residential project to produce a surplus here, which is a bit of a challenge for us out of the gate. That being said, it's a whole heck of a lot more likely in the instance of a multifamily project. It's really difficult to predict the incident rate of how many students you would have in a multifamily community, and that obviously changes year to year, but the number of students you typically see based on what we've seen in our portfolio and talking to other communities, it's quite a bit lower, obviously, than you would find in a single family community, which lends itself to the positive when thinking about the revenue versus expense conversation and overall impact. And so anything less than 10 students would actually result in a surplus for the school district. Anything over that would obviously lead to a deficit. And you can see based on the figures on the screen that the delta between a project like this versus what you would typically see with a single family community, there's a lot more, significant amount more of discrepancy. And so while that doesn't erase any potential negative externalities, we also feel like in the scheme of the benefits that you're creating for the district, the upfront bond payment that'll hopefully spur additional commercial development within the district, which will have a much more positive impact as it relates to the school district conversation. We think those things kind of together help weigh maybe some of the potential negatives when thinking about the impact of a project of this scale. So with that, happy to dive into a lot more detail on any of this as you guys formally consider the proposal at hand, but appreciate the opportunity to present and happy to answer any questions.
Brad, thank you so much again for presenting. And as you said, it doesn't seem like too much has changed from when you talked with us last month. Did mention again, looking at market rate. Can you confirm again kind of what that range would be for monthly lease rates, depending on if it's a studio or 3-bedroom, whatever that might be?
Yeah, as it sits today, and again, this will change as we won't deliver a unit until you can see beginning of 2022, but this can range anywhere from probably $800 a unit all the way up to $1,600 a unit for the largest units on the property.
Mm-hmm. Mentioned that, again, ideally we want to start in the spring. When you talk about going through the bond issuance and just in general, when would you need to have an idea about support from this group?
Ideally as soon as possible. I know that's not an exact answer, but just backing into the time it takes to get everything documented, et cetera, we would want to be moving towards that fairly quickly to be able to hit a break ground date in March or April.
Yep. Any questions from the commission to Brad? I understand that we had several questions about impact on schools, and we do have a couple representatives from Zions on 11 schools. So if you have any questions for Brad, please fire away.
I'll just throw out there. So, and Mike Schaefer, our CFO for the school district, is on the call if he wants to add anything. I guess I just want to, I don't have a concern per se with the type of the development or anything like that. You know, it seems like a good project. I know there's debate about, putting residential development into TIF districts or allowing that to happen. I'm sort of concerned. I mean, you can see, and I understand the argument about single home versus apartments, and there's validity to that. I'm just concerned about the precedent. If there are proposed projects that are significantly bigger than this one, if we're looking at a year after year, if we're projecting 53 to 94,000 for a year, and I think that number comes from the modeling from your meeting with Mike, Brad, probably, if I'm correct about that. With the low being a low estimate of how many students per unit, and the high being a higher estimate of how many students per unit. If you multiply that significantly, it becomes a pretty tricky thing to figure out how to make up for from a school district standpoint. Obviously, I don't have a vote, but I guess one of the things I'd like to throw out there is I know that there's an option for specific pass-throughs from TIF monies, and I guess it's something that we would be interested in looking at. That wouldn't be a discussion necessarily, I think, with Brad, but with the RDC and how we structure what we do with that money. So anyway, I just want to throw those concerns out there for people to think a little bit about. I guess there's probably not a vote today. Am I wrong about that, or?
No, plan on it being back on the agenda in January for a vote for this project.
So I guess what I would propose to any RDC member that's interested is I'm happy to put you in contact with the the folks at the district who, you know a lot more about this than I do. And if you have questions or things you'd like to follow up on about that, feel free to reach out to me, or Nathan can put you in contact with them also. But just wanted to throw that out there. I appreciate it, Brad. And I appreciate you meeting with Mike about this also.
Yeah, I appreciate your guys' time.
I have a question. How many 3-bedroom apartments will there be within that 240 units?
I'll have to check the exact number. I believe it's 10 or less.
10 or less?
Somewhere between 7 and 10 of the units total are 3-bedroom units.
And how many are 1?
Someone else has another question. I will pull that up while we are talking.
Well, depending if there's another question come up, and while Brad's looking for that, just say that thank you for your interest in the project here in Whitestown. For myself, I'd like to speak in support of trying to move forward with some assistance, because I do love the idea of being able to provide some increment into the TIF as we're really trying to invest in Mauer Common land. Being able to have some of that money to help develop the rec site, to help attract new investment to the area, I think is going to be important. It gives us the flexibility to be selective and find the right project instead of just taking the first thing, because we need that to be revenue generating.
Yeah, and then when we're looking quick numbers we ran with a developer now looking, it's to the point of about 60 million in assistance for the other side, between infrastructure and public amenities and so forth. So we have quite a burden on the other side to come up with and covering. And that's why we established the TIF district here, is we knew we would have some of those expenses.
After looking, the number 1-bedroom units, we have 102 1-bedroom units.
Any more questions for Brad? Nathan, anything else that you wanted to add?
No, just want to say I like the project they've brought. We've worked hard on this. I get what Michael's looking with the schools and watching out for them. I know there's not a whole lot of land left in Eagle Township, Whitestown, that would be slated for something like this. Obviously, across the street is planned some mixed use also around the amphitheater. Not sure how, family enticing that'll be to put right next to an amphitheater. But as we continue to develop and look at this project, definitely something we can talk about and discussions we can have. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of land that's even available in Eagle Township that's zoned that would be multifamily from here out.
All right, Brad, well, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Next item on the agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes from November 2nd. Should have seen all those in your packets. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to review those. Entertain any questions, comments, concerns, edits, revisions, and if not, would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the November meeting.
I have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion? If not, would entertain a vote by roll call to approve the meeting minutes from November 2nd.
Brian Brackmeyer?
Yes.
Kyle Weathers?
Yes.
Adam Hess?
Yes.
April Wyckoff?
Yes.
Rob Worrell?
Yes.
Elizabeth Keith?
I can't vote, but thanks.
Just voting for the
Sorry. I would approve it if I could.
Maybe clarify, would they vote to still approve minutes even though if they're voting or non-voting, Steve?
No vote.
Okay. So never mind. I ain't even gonna bother you, Michael.
I was gonna turn it down. So
The big check.
Let's try and let you sneak a vote in.
There we go. So next item on the agenda is unfinished business. Seeing none, move on to new business. And item A is to consider bond resolution approving the issuance of the band bonds, which is resolution of the Anson South resolution 2020-15. Steve, would you mind giving us a brief overview?
Yeah, this is actually, I think the plan here is to issue a ban or a bond anticipation note. But you'll see if you read through the resolution, it authorizes the issuance of a band and a bond because you would have to be in the position to take out the ban within 5 years if it came to that. But nevertheless, Reedy Financial has run the numbers and show that we can do this project and pay off. It's a $7 million ban. We'll be able to, it's payable out of the Anson South TIF. Their projections are that we'll be able to have sufficient coverage to pay that within 5 years. And that's why we're doing it as a ban. There's 3 real projects that we're going to use funding from this for. One is the Perryworth Road extension improvement that needs to be made. There's about $4.5 million for that. There's about $1 million to go towards that Albert S. White roundabout project. And then there's another $1 million for site improvements relating to the MS project. And Nathan can address that a little bit more. But so that's basically what it is. It'll process. You guys would approve. The first resolution is the actual bond and band resolution. So you would approve that tonight. The second resolution is the appropriation resolution, basically approving the appropriation of the $7 million. Won't approve that resolution tonight. It would be just, that's the second item, is to introduce it. Then we will go to the council at their meeting, and the council has to approve the issuance of this as well. After the council approves it, we'll come back before the Redevelopment Commission, hold a public hearing on the appropriation of the $7 million. And then after that public hearing, you can approve the appropriation, and Dennis and the financial folks will basically go find a buyer. And I expect they probably already have found a bank to buy these and get it issued and get the funds and do the projects.
Thank you, Steve. Nathan, anything to add or at least associated with the 3 projects?
Yeah, so the third one, the MS site improvements, we've had discussion about it and changing that because the Main Street project and the Perryworth are actually coming in engineers' estimates a lot higher. And we believe we'll need to only be able to do the 2 projects instead of all 3. There just won't be enough money with the cost of the other projects. So the thought would be, we've talked about the MS site. They'll be presenting in January. They're looking at doing a front-loaded abatement instead of any other kind of incentive. So there would be we wouldn't be using cash to try to complete that project, which would be tying the road, which everyone's asked for, that goes the continuation to Perry from, is it New Hope Boulevard? Mm-hmm. So it would be doing that road continuation. So we're looking at other ways to fund it instead of this. We got the estimate back, and we're about $2.5 million over on Main Street. If we want to do we're looking at adding like 2 hawk signals to make it safer for kids to get to that Main Street park. We've got a lot of kids just darting across Albert S. White and Main Street. This is putting dedicated crosswalks. It's adding a 3rd lane that goes down to the MI subdivision and up to the new Bridal Oaks. And we want to extend that to Walker Farms since there's more development coming north of town. It'll give money to add that center turn lane to help alleviate traffic congestion coming out of that roundabout. So that's what that additional funding is for it. And then the $4.5 million is for Perryworth Road. So it's taking it from Bell Tire all the way up to the midpoint where their stub out piece is, and building that as a new road section with multi-purpose trail on the side. And that's projected at the $4.5 million. We just haven't put them out to bid yet. So the contingency and so forth. We believe that extra $1 million will have to be taken from that third project to make the first two work.
Well, thank you, Steve. Nathan, any questions from the commission regarding items A and B? It's going to be coming up back to back.
My question's to Steve, especially with this, and I've had an opinion and spoke on other meetings about some of the stuff with the Anson South outside of this board. Would I have to recuse myself from this vote if I had an opinion on other subjects like this?
No. The only way you would need to recuse yourself is if you had a direct financial interest personally. Okay. Or your immediate family members did. And even there's disclosures you can do if that were the issue. But otherwise, just because you have an opinion about it doesn't preclude you from having a vote.
Okay, thank you.
So this MS project is not included in this. When do we believe this would be tabled to extend New Hope?
So New Hope's coming back to you in January. That project, it's the strategic capital multifamily. As a condition of it, we told them that road needs extended. So they've run the numbers and they plan to come to the board to ask for a front-loaded abatement.
Okay.
That way it gives time to get the units filled up while they're going through, and that's in it's going with the abatement, and that's actually Lebanon schools also, so just as a FYI. And we've met with Jason and I believe Danny have met with Lebanon schools to discuss that project and future projects that are coming in the area, because there's a lot of development in Lebanon School District currently planned.
Thank you.
Any additional questions, comments? If not, is there a motion?
I can make a motion to approve resolution 20-15, the banned bonds for Anson South TIF.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? If not, would entertain a vote for resolution 2020-15 by roll call.
Brian Bragmeyer.
Yes.
Kyle Weathers.
Yes.
Adam Hess.
Yes.
April Wyckoff.
Yes.
Rob Worrell.
Yes.
Motion carries. Now, item B is to introduce the appropriation resolution for the banned bonds for Anson South TIF, which is resolution 2020-16. Steve, do we have to vote to approve that, or did we just formally introduce it?
Nope, just introduce it and just make sure that we just want to make sure the minutes reflect that it was introduced. If there's any questions, ask away.
You say the process again, so we'll go to council, then back to us.
Yep. After this, council, then back to us for a public hearing, and then at that meeting we can approve it. So I expect in January, I think Dennis probably had on this on his schedule to come back.
Well, unless there's any other questions, comments, we'll move on to other business. Seeing none, would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We don't need a second for that, y'all. Have a great night, everyone. Don't see happy holidays, and hope to see everyone in January. Stay warm.
Have a good Christmas, everybody.